Silicon Valley, technology, art, green, and sustainability.
You look great.
Welcome to another episode of Silicon Valley Tech, Art, Green, and Sustainability. Today I'm very honored to have with me a businesswoman who's also been running it, I guess it's a nonprofit now, yeah? Women in CleanTech and Sustainability, Lisa Ann Pinkerton. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Did I pronounce your last name right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
You're good.
Okay, yeah. And just home from a vacation, you're looking glowing. So
thank you.
You look great.
Yeah. It was good to have some time off, you know.
It's always good to have time off.
You don't realize how stressful life can be until you take a break.
Yeah.
And then when you come back and you feel it all coming, all the stress coming up again, oh, right.
Silicon Valley is great, but it is a little bit of a rat race when you just get on that wheel, right?
Yeah.
And you need to hop off the wheel once in a while.
Yeah. And once you get back on the wheel, it's fine, but it's that ramp up where you're like, oh, right, this is different.
So tell us a little bit, before we start talking about what you do, tell us about you and where are you from the Bay Area originally?
No, I'm from the Midwest.
Okay, and you don't really have an accent, although a minute ago you let us hear a little accent.
That was just my Pittsburgh dialect. I bring that on special occasions when I meet fellow Steelers fans. So I started out in theater, actually.
Okay, I didn't know that. Wow.
And I went to Carnegie Mellon University. I was going to do theater and film production. Lived in LA for a while, hated it, moved back to Pittsburgh where I went to school. And so that's when I got into news. And I worked for NPR and PBS and NBC and really loved doing the news and telling stories and communicating to audiences and teaching. And then at some point I realized I was more in love with these clean technology companies that I was covering than doing the news. So that's when I went into public relations, started Technica Communications in 2009. And
oh wow, it was 2009.
Yeah, I moved out here first, and then I started Technica. And then in 2011, I was just sick of being one of 5 women in a room at a CleanTech conference, because we all ended up gravitating towards each other. And I was also kind of tired of when I would meet men, they would assume that I was either a student or somebody's assistant, but not that I was a business owner. And when I told them I was a business owner, they'd be like, really? Wow. That's fascinating. I'm like, what's so fascinating? I'm a woman and I own a business. That's mind-blowing to you? So that's when I realized that something needs to be done to sort of support women in that arena. So I started Women in CleanTech and Sustainability to create a networking and career environment and community for women. And we started out very small on Meetup, leveraging their platform and the community that they'd already created. And then...
And was that about 2010, 2011?
That was 2011.
2011, okay.
Yeah. And
I'm going to pull up a slide of one of your meetings. Let's pull up the first slide. So this is one of your meetings. This is not you up there, as you just said. Who is this up there? Tell us about this.
So this is actually our flagship event called WCS Talks. So we started Women in CleanTech and Sustainability
Talks. Okay.
Yeah, and so we started out doing panel discussions and happy hours. And over the course of the years, we realized that when women were asked to speak on a panel, most of them had never been asked to be on any panel before. Usually, it's the sales guys and the business development guys and the CEOs that get to be on panels, right? It's not usually the support staff. So, but we were focused on bringing women to these panels. So what we started recognizing was women would get really excited after being on a panel, just the idea of being able to share your expertise and the reception that they would get from the audience and the confidence that they would discover being up there in front of an audience. So we're like, how can we do more of that? So that's when we decided to create WCS Talks, which is a TED-style event. It's 20 speakers.
And when did you start that?
We started that in 2014.
Okay, so just a few years ago.
3 years after founding the organization.
And it's the annual in the fall?
It is. It's in the fall. It's the first Saturday of November every year.
Okay.
and Google sponsors it, and they host us at the campus in Mountain View.
Okay.
And
I thought I recognized that, but I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, so that picture you showed is from is in Mountain View at the Google campus, and they're awesome. And so what we do is have 20 speakers. Each speaker gets 10 minutes to talk about whatever it is that they want to discuss related to women, clean tech, sustainability in the industry, or what it's like to be a woman, or how they got where they are. And we have one male for every 20 speakers.
That's awesome.
So our one token male every year.
So I don't usually, I'm going to have them pull up the next slide, but I don't usually put slides of a self photo of folks when they come on the show, because you're already here, but I love this photo.
Oh, right.
And the future is female. I love that. That's awesome. I mean, that kind of says it all of what you're doing, and we'll pull that back down.
Thank you.
Where was this photo taken?
So that was last year at the WCS Talks,
Okay.
and all the credit goes to Jay Kiram from the Environmental Defense Fund.
Okay.
And so that was his slide. So that was the end of his presentation, and so that was just me introducing the next.
That's
the
great.
next speaker.
That was a great photo.
Yeah.
That's an awesome photo. So tell us the mission statement then, again, on women in clean tech and sustainability.
So our mission is to support women and men in their careers related to the clean tech and sustainability space. So sometimes that means just connecting people together at networking events. Maybe that means educating people on the industry. Or it could mean mentorship. So we have a mentorship program that we started last year, and it's been very well received. Google has also been helping support us with that, with location and food, that kind of thing. And the board really set up the whole mentor program, matching mentors and mentees together, and setting up a manual and schedules for meetings and what the mentor and mentee were to accomplish.
And we'll come back to that in a minute, 'cause
time.
we're going to have a photo with some of the folks that are doing the mentoring.
Right, yeah.
I'm going to bring up another slide now, and let's look at this. So this is one of the Google people.
This is Kate Brandt. Yeah.
And so this is one of the speakers that you had. Is she a speaker that comes back normally?
Yeah, every year she's been speaking. So she's in the sustainability department over at Google, and so she manages a lot of that.
And what normally, let's pull that down. What normally happens at the typical meeting? Because the one we're talking about is kind of the big event that happens once a year, but you have monthly meetings.
Right.
And it's like 1,000 people, 2,000 people now, right, on the meetup group. It's a big group. So a typical meeting, what happens? Is it
Well, it depends on what the format is.
Okay, yeah.
And so usually we have roughly 40 to 50 people who will come to a monthly meeting. It might be a panel. So we did a panel in Palo Alto a couple weeks ago, basically the future of the grid modernization. What does that mean? How does the grid work? And that event came out of an energy storage event we had last year, where we spent most of the time educating people on how the grid works. And wow, you have to balance electrical loads, and what is demand response, and et cetera, et cetera. So then we pulled back, so, we need to talk about the grid just in general. So we did that event. We're having a sustainable supply chain event.
And is it typically 50, 100 people that come, or it just varies depending on the
venue? It varies depending on the topic, the venue, the time.
And are the venues always in the city, or are they mixed up all over the Bay Area?
So we have most of our events in San Francisco, but we're starting to have more in the South Bay.
At Google and different
spots?
At
Google and Palo Alto and places like that.
And then I think WeWork, are you doing stuff there too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I saw something online. Let's pull up the next slide too, which I think is another speaker. Nope. So this is one of your events.
Right. So that was last year at WCS Talks. And what the glasses those ladies are holding are the Sungevitinis. So Sungevity was our happy hour sponsor.
Okay.
And we made a
They look like
signature.
mimosas.
Yeah, I know,
just
they
assumed
do.
they were, yeah.
Yeah, so they were really good. You could really only have one of those.
So you can bring that down. And so volunteer, is it run by volunteers?
It's all volunteer.
So no paid employees, volunteers.
We have one part-time administrator.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many board members?
We have 12 board members.
Wow.
And they're all volunteers.
That's big. That's great.
Yeah.
And then you are still pretty active in the planning, or?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I do a lot of the strategy, the vision, keeping everybody organized and on task, and pushing the organization forward. But the board is really wonderful, and we wouldn't be where we are today without all of those volunteers. And what we've what we've discovered over the course of our experience was that, it can't just be me doing everything, right? That's not sustainable. So we developed an organizational structure that allows all of us to be, to take ownership and to manage certain aspects of the organization. So we're kind of like a hive in a way. So it's really actually a lot of fun to watch, like from my position, to step back and just watch all of these groups doing their own thing, but also working in concert.
It's almost like your kids.
Yeah.
Are now hatching
It's
the
a
plan.
very circular management style. Like we started out with a hierarchical management style, which is typically more of a masculine approach to business, where one person's on top and the people report to that person and the people below. And it wasn't working for us. It didn't work at all. It just didn't fit, didn't feel right. So we changed it to be a circular management style where, I would be in the middle and then you've got certain board members around. But everybody has access to me and everybody has access to each other. And the way we set up everything on Google Drive, so everybody has access to whatever they need.
Nice.
And the organization just
Google
runs
Drive.
on its own, and women can take ownership of ideas that they have, and then they can feel like leaders. Because it's fine for me to be the chairwoman and to be running the organization, and I really love it, and it is my baby. But I also want other women to experience what it means to manage a big project or to lead and be a leader and encourage people to follow you, right? Those are all skills that a lot of times we don't get a chance to develop as women. And when we do, it's usually later in our careers. So part of the way we organize women in clean tech and sustainability is to create these opportunities for women to discover their natural leadership styles and gain confidence doing this type of work. And they always take that into their business world and their careers, and they come back to us and just rave about how managing an aspect of the organization changed how they do their work in business.
I'm going to pull up the slide. I think we've got 2 with the board members, so I'm going to pull those up. Let's pull up those. So is this your board, or is this?
This is the board.
This is the board.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think that's you down on the
down
left.
below.
Yeah, on the
Yep.
left. And then we can pull up the next one too, which I think is also a board one. And so these are a couple of more board members.
That's our events committee.
Nice. We can pull that down. So how does membership look like? There used to not be a fee, and we really can't talk about the fees, but is there a fee now to be a member, and is it a year-long fee?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it pretty nominal, or?
Yeah, I would say it's very nominal. The whole point is, you have a massive mailing list, and that's great. But then you want to create people who are more invested and who are more dedicated to the organization. So we set up a membership program, and through that, by becoming a member, you have greater access to certain resources that we provide. You have discounts to events. You're more in the inner circle. And the ladies, this was one of those things the ladies wanted to do, and I was like, we don't need a membership. Let's keep it simple, right? I'm all about simple because everybody's volunteering. They're like, no, we need this. We want to do this. I'm like, okay, great, go do it. So they did it, and within 2 months, we had 30 members, paying members, and I'm like, this is great. We're doing something right. And so we're up to about 70 now. So, I mean, that's in less than a year.
Yeah.
So that is a testament to what these ladies have built.
So here in Silicon Valley, is there trends happening with women in business besides obviously joining your group?
Yeah.
Is there any trends that you see coming up right now with women in business in Silicon Valley?
I think there's a lot of different trends, and it all depends on what you're attracted to. So if you are the type of person where you're really attracted to improving your leadership style and improving how one communicates in business with other men, you can find those support groups and people who will teach you that. If you take more of a stance that it's an old boys game, and women can't get ahead except being bossy or masculine, but then when you do that, you get you have there's the double-edged sword there. So if you have that type of belief, there's certainly people who will feed into that message for you. So it's a very interesting time right now, I think, for women in business, because there's a lot of activity and there's a lot of interest and there's a lot of support for bringing women into business more strongly. And I think it all depends.
Do you think there's more positions now for women in clean tech than there ever was before?
I don't know if
and sustainability.
I think I would say that there's always been positions for women, because a position is a position, right? And what I hear from a lot of CEOs is that they really want to hire women, especially in the STEM positions, science, engineering, technology, math, or
engineering.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they really want to hire women in those areas, but finding a qualified woman is hard. And there's all kinds of reasons why we think that is. Some of it is education, some of it's just opportunity. If you ask me, I think a lot of it also has to do with just how women may perceive themselves and their ability to have success in certain areas. All of this feeds in on itself. But at the end of the day, you just got to go out and make your future the way you want to make it. And you can't let any of these extra thoughts stand in your way. You just go get what you want. And so that's what we talk about at Women in Clean Tech and Sustainability, is like, what do you want? Okay, great. How can you get that? No, don't talk to me about who's going to be standing in your way or why you can't have it or what challenges you might face. None of that matters. Figure out what it is you want. How are you going to get it?
Go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah. Don't let anything stop you.
Don't let anything stop you.
Do you think there's more, since you started the meetup group, do you think that there's more places for women to network now that are specifically for women and not just like, the Lions Club or the Rotary Club or whatever, Chamber of Commerce? Do you think there's been a little bit of an explosion of that?
I would say you've got more lean in circles,
and that was going to be my next question, the lean in.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's always been, the Watermark has always been around in the Bay Area. Silicon Valley Leaderships Forum has always had their Women Speaks series. Women's Environmental Network has been around for a while. So these organizations have been around, but I think, there's an ebb and flow as to how active they are. And a lot of these organizations are based on volunteers. So if women are feeling more empowered to get involved or to go to events and get involved, then those organizations, you're going to see more events happening, right? Because there's just more support for them. But I think it's highly important that women get out to just not only women's events, but also men co-ed events, right? And it's because when I used to only go to co-ed events, networking was a challenge, and I wasn't exactly sure why. And then I went to women-only business events, and I had so much fun. Why is this? Because women and men network differently, right? So in a general sense, men are they have in their mind, they're the hunters of the hunter-gatherer equation. They have in their mind exactly what they're looking for, and they just want to talk to people who can deliver on what they need. They're really not interested in who you are. It's what can you get for me. Women are completely opposite. We want to talk to you and get to know you. And then if we decide we like you, then we can go have coffee and talk about your business and, maybe how we could work together if there's anything there. But if we don't like you first, we're not going to spend time with you later. So two very different ways of networking. So I think it's important for women to go to both, because you're going to get different experiences and you can bring both of those experiences into the opposite events. So, and by doing that, you have a richer environment and you're also a better networker. You're gonna have more connections.
So you mentioned lean in, and that was gonna be my next question. I'm gonna pull up the slide that I have with that because I think this is great that you're doing this. This is actually another slide that we didn't pull up. So tell us who this is. Yeah.
Let's just keep moving on.
Let's just keep moving on. Let's go on. So this is one of your speakers, and then this is the one I wanted to get to. This is your mentor program.
Yep.
So tell us about this. This is awesome that you're doing, and I think this goes hand in hand with the lean in and helping women and get to their achievement. Tell us what this is.
So this is the first cohort of our mentorship program. It's 12 mentors and 12 mentees. and we had 2 men who were mentors, so it wasn't all women. And I think it's really important because, let's face it, men still hold a lot of the influence in the industry, and it's really important to have them involved. So we're never a female-only organization. And so the mentorship program was just based on supporting women, especially sort of right out of college, but also mid-level management, get to the next level. And it was something that was asked for, and so we've provided it, and people really love it, and we're really happy with how it's been working.
And so it's just a first year, you said, or? That's
yeah,
awesome.
So we just completed the first year of it.
Good job.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I was going to ask about women in politics, but I think we've only got about 10 minutes left.
Okay.
So I want to get to challenges, how you've overcome and how you've lessons learned, and then also your best achievements, like your best accolades. Tell us about that.
Okay.
But if you want to skip one of them, you can too, because we've got other questions we've got
fine.
to. So.
No, I mean, what we know from research is that women often have a hard time bragging about themselves, so I will take the opportunity to talk about myself, even though it is uncomfortable sometimes, right? But we all get to get over that.
I would never guess that.
I did, go to school for acting, so I could kind of cover it up a little bit. But so some of the challenges that I faced in my career has been all in the mind. Not believing that you can do it, believing that it's too hard or that it won't happen, and just persevering. And refusing to listen to the doubts in your own mind. I think the big secret is that everybody's faking it till they make it. Okay, and it's just that a lot of us don't believe that. We look at people that we admire and we're like, oh, they have it all together. Oh my God, I don't have it together. I wish I did. Oh, blah, blah,
and
blah.
We're all human.
We're
right?
all human.
We all have fallacies.
We all make mistakes.
Or not fallacies. We all have faults. And,
right,
yeah.
right. We all fail.
Yeah.
Right? And everybody's faking it till they make it. And I tell that to the ladies all the time, because we know from research that men will look at a position, and even if they have 50% of the skills, they're going to apply for it. And then when they get offered the job, they're going to negotiate for the absolute maximum salary that they can get.
Which women don't do. We have to negotiate.
We're totally opposite.
We have to do that. Yeah.
We won't apply for a job until we're overly confident that we can deliver on that job. So 100% of those skills. And then when we're offered when we're in the negotiation, we don't negotiate. We accept, oh my God, thank you so much for this job, and I'll take the amount. And what research shows that when you don't negotiate, especially very young in your career, percentage-wise, it just escalates year over year over year till when you're in your 40s, you're working 70 cents on the dollar.
Well, I'm way past that now. Past the 40s. So we only have like 5 minutes left, and I want to make sure we pull up the community slide, ask if there's something that you need from the community. Is there the needs that you have right now with the women in clean tech and sustainability, or others? We can pull that down.
So with women in clean tech and sustainability, we're always looking for corporate membership and also sponsors for WCS Talks, because that's our big fundraiser every year. So those are our big needs in terms of finances. And then, of course, we're always looking for volunteers and people who want to speak on panels and organize events, because that is our bread and butter. And then anybody who have ideas around supporting the organization and making it bigger and better, those are the things that we look for.
So the corporate sponsorship, is that all on your website for
Yes,
people to look at,
Mm-hmm.
as well as the pricing for the membership?
Yep.
And it used to be the meetup group, so people now should go through the website.
Yes.
To look at everything.
Yeah.
And then you also have LinkedIn and Twitter and
we do all
I think hopefully they've been pulling that up, but that's in the credit slides. For women that are starting off businesses here in Silicon Valley and beyond, do you have any advice for them?
Do it.
Okay.
I mean, I gave a talk at Cornell, and basically the idea was, female entrepreneurship and the power behind that. Well, if you're waiting around for somebody to give you the go-ahead or the invitation to be in management or be a leader as a woman, it's not going to happen. You have to go out and you have to go do that yourself. And we know that business isn't necessarily moving towards letting more women in because it's male dominated. That's just the way it is. There's a lot of things that are holding women back in that area. So if we want women to be leaders, and we want more women in business, you got to go out and build your own business because nobody's going to give it to you. So my advice to women in the Bay Area, do it. Find people who are going to support you mentally, emotionally, strategically. Get a good cadre around you, and it's amazing what you can build.
Is there another organization besides yours, which is great, that you would recommend for women to be a part of?
I really enjoy the Silicon Valley Leadership Forum, and also the Watermark is great, and there's another organization called Upward. Those are all really great. Those are more tech, the tech, women in tech area.
Is there any nonprofits that you work with too?
We work with Vote Solar and Grid Alternatives.
Okay.
And those are some of the nonprofits we work with.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts for the audience that you want to say?
Well, I did say I was going to brag about my accomplishments, and then I didn't get to it.
Okay.
So I'm going to take the initiative and say that this year I was named one of the most influential women in Silicon Valley by the Silicon Valley Business Journal.
Good job.
And I think a lot of the kudos for that award goes to women in clean tech and sustainability and the work that we've done there.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I didn't know that. I missed that memo. So that's I feel very honored that you're here.
Oh, thanks.
And I knew you win. So even back when, you always have been a powerful person, and I would have never thought that, if you had any thoughts like that, I always thought Lisa's going to be successful. You've always had that presence. Maybe it's the acting experience.
I think, as a kid, I was always just, I was kind of a rebel, and just
that's why
very contrarian. And if you tell me not to do something, you better believe I'm going to go do it. So that's always sort of been my MO.
That's your motto.
That's my motto.
That's your MO.
And so that's sort of how I've evolved. And I'm just going to do what I want to do because I want to do it. And everybody else can come hang out with me or not.
I'm getting the wrap-up sign.
That's how it goes.
Thank you so much for joining us. To the audience, follow us on Twitter, www.svtags.org, SVTAGs on Twitter. We got a Facebook account, and make this a great week by conserving, reusing, and rethinking the way you choose to live here in Silicon Valley and beyond. Make it a great week. Thank you. Thanks.